and it is good to be done. I mean, I really started feeling good. I shouldn't say good, but feeling like the worst of it was past after about the first couple of days. By the third day, I was already starting to feel better, and then the last few here, just been waiting for the tests to kind of just make sure I was cleared up. So I really was clear yesterday, but I wanted to kind of just play it safe and go one more day before going out of the house and stuff. Patrick, thank you. It's great to hear. So yeah, it's wasn't as bad as it could have been for sure. Goob the Poop. Nice name. Nice. So what I guess learned through this experience, for me, this really was not too bad at all. I had the worst of it was the first day, definitely the second day, and then a little bit on the third day. I was in bed pretty much all those first 3 days that I realized, that I started coming down with symptoms. But after the third day, I started feeling good enough where I didn't have to lay down. I could just, I could sit up, I could isolate in my office and do stuff. So, it wasn't as bad as it could have been had it lasted a lot longer. So, and then the main symptoms for me were just had a really bad headache. That's what kind of kept me down, was just headache and body aches the first couple of days, and I just couldn't even sit up. I had to lay down. Never had a fever. I never really got too bad of a cough or anything. I had a little bit of congestion, but yeah. So I'm glad it wasn't anything worse. That's for sure. So yeah, it's nice to just be finally out of those woods, and knock on wood, my kids have been able to stay free of it. We've kept ourselves pretty separate through all the during this time, and it my wife's trying to get through it as well. She kind of came down with symptoms a little bit later than I did, so she's going through her own almost the same exact scenario, but a little bit of a staggered delay there, so it looks a lot like what I went through. But I'm it's perfect timing to finally get back into normal swing of things. So I'm heading down to, you might have seen on my last post, I talked about this weekend's Northwest Pinball and Arcade show. You look like you're still not 100%. I just woke up not too long ago, so I am going to wear my mask today, though, just to be safe anyway. Yeah, no, I feel way better. But yeah, I probably still look like I just woke up, because I kind of did. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Northwest Pinball and Arcade Show. That is at the Tacoma Convention Center. I don't know if I'd be able to make it. I was hoping that I could drop by, since my other travel plans of the week fell through. I was hoping, well, if I can get better by the time the weekend's done, I could still come by and I don't know, just some kind of bug. Kind of knocked out for a while, and I never really got back. I was playing catch up on work stuff, and I never really got back to doing locks, but I really need to get back to doing it. It's good for me, and it's always a fun thing to do. So I will get back to it now that I'm starting to feel better again. Sean, appreciate the congrats. Thank you very much. Now, let's hear what you and the 12s have to say about the rebuilt Hawks. And 253 Ace, are you going to Doug Baldwin's celebrity basketball game? Something for change. Marshawn, Doug, Subert, a bunch of old Hawks playing. I'll check into it and see what the schedule is. The schedule is very busy for me. That's why it's kind of good that if I was going to get hit by COVID, probably now is the best time, because it's the rare lull in my schedule, other than I missed the Salt Lake City tournament that Vanessa was supposed to go to. That's the only thing that fell victim to our travel plans this week. Plus with Vanessa healing from a injured foot, it just wasn't in the cards this week to travel. So that was the only thing that we missed. But other than that, as far as other travel plans and things, it gets really busy for the rest of the month and the next month. So if it was going to happen, that's probably the best time for it to happen. But what was I going to say? As far as things going on with the team. So, yeah, the rebuilt Hawks. And I don't know if you can really say it's rebuilt. I think they're still in the process of rebuilding. As Paul Attractions and Adventures also says, this year walk and talk. So yeah, I miss him too. Got more to do. Yeah, still in the process. Anytime you lose your franchise quarterback, that pretty much officially makes it a rebuild, whether you want to call it that or not. And it will be a constant state of rebuild until you find the next one. And that's really the big question is, do we have it already? Kind of doubt it. Is it Geno Smith? I don't think so. Is it Drew Lock? Unless he has this, shocking side that nobody has seen that's ready to come out because he just was too, penned in and not given the right circumstances in Denver. He's ready to explode with a whole new team and a whole new world and new weapons and new crowd and new stadium. Will he suddenly become something that nobody's ever seen before? It could happen. I can't cite any particular cases, but I guess we've had some players who didn't do much in one location and they go and explode, and another one they go, oh, what happened? Where was this guy before he came here? In fact, we've had players who were kind of quietly not doing a whole heck of a lot, and then they go to another team and they become this just amazing player. Like Alex Collins, didn't do much here, and then he goes to Baltimore and just starts tearing it up. J.D. McKissick, who was just kind of this sort of scat back, randomly thrown in there guy, and then he goes to Washington and then becomes this regular, just every down back who's just been one of the key facets of the running game. So can it work with quarterbacks? The fact that I can't think of a good example, I'd like to hear one. If you could think of an example of a quarterback who in his early years just didn't really get the opportunities and then suddenly goes somewhere else and blows up. You guys name one if you can think of one. That's a good example. I can't think of any. Anyway, point being is until we find that quarterback, we are technically in a rebuild mode until we get there. Now, that being said, are all rebuilds, a bad situation? Because usually when you think of the word rebuild, it means, we're going to suck down for a while, so good luck, everybody. Hope you don't all jump off the bandwagon at the same time. Steve Young, good example. Gavin Corbett, Steve Young with Tampa Bay. Okay, all right. You only had to go like 4 decades ago to find one, but hey, or is it 3? No, it's almost 4. Close to 4. So, the examples are hard to find, but you never know. You never know. Bradley Brady fan, Patriots, welcome. So, what I do like so far is, one, if you're gonna lose your franchise quarterback, you better get something good in return. And we did okay. It wasn't great, but we did get some good picks, which translated into some nice pickups in this draft. We'll find out how good they really are because, at this point, everything in the draft is all speculative, and we've had times when we've gotten excited about a guy and completely whiffed. And we have times when we didn't even know about a guy, and he turns out to be like one of the legendary players that suddenly became a household name in the Seattle area. So we'll find out how many they are. You can never expect every one of your 9 draft picks to be home run hitters. And, as I did my little draft breakdown of the years past, you're lucky if you could get, 40% of your draft picks that become something valuable. So if we get anywhere close to that, 40 to 50%, that'd be awesome. But I feel like Charles Cross, offensive tackle, that's a good one. Kenneth Walker, I'm excited to see what he can do in the running back position. You know, defensive line, you know, we addressed that with a couple of additional pass rushers. So cornerback, you know, all these positions, they look like good pickups. So I'm excited to see what they can do, you know. And so that'll make this preseason a little more interesting than the past, because unlike some preseasons where it's like, oh man, I gotta watch the second string play, you know, boring. In this case, you know, everybody's gonna be getting their feet wet. And of course, when you got the first game of the year, the Monday night primetime showdown at home versus Russell Wilson, well, you're pretty much in dress rehearsal mode right from the get-go. There's no, you know, we'll kind of get warmed up and we'll get ready when that game comes. No, it's like first game of the year. You better be ready if you really want to set this tone for this season on a good note. And I want to see this, if nothing else, I want this team to, if no other teams that they beat, I'll be almost 50% satisfied with the season if they can get the one win over the Broncos. That's how low my expectations will become. Like, I'm kind of expecting them to be below 500 this year. But if one of those, basically 8 wins, if we're lucky to get up to 8 or less wins, as long as one of those is against Denver, I'll feel pretty good. I'll feel pretty good about the way the season went. So speaking of Russell Wilson, he's been in the news lately. Mostly on Twitter, but there's some articles out there flying around. And I don't know why this is even a topic right now. Somebody stirred it up and basically said, what's more important to Russell Wilson? This Denver media territory. Which is more important, winning wins, winning championships, or getting paid? Basically, it's the question thrown out there. And it was, I won't even say leaked because it's nothing new, but basically talking about how Russell Wilson will probably be asking somewhere in the realm of 5 years, $50 million fully guaranteed. So I don't even know why this is a news story, to be honest, because everybody and their mother knew that when Denver made this move, this was going to be the asking price. All right, and they're stuck with it. They're going to have to pay it, because it's like us when we got Jamal Adams. We gave up so much capital to get him here. After the first year, when we knew we'd have to negotiate the deal, we had to overpay. We had to pay a high bounty because we'd already committed that much to him. You couldn't give up all that and then go, you know what, we changed our mind, we're not going to re-sign you, we're not going to extend you. You know, the Broncos have already gone all in. I don't think anybody's talking differently. So now it's just a question of how much and for how long. So, and $50 million, $50 million a year, $250 fully guaranteed for 5 years. That may sound like a lot, but it's not, because it's already there. We got 2 guys who are already basically making that almost that kind of money. We got Aaron Rodgers, who basically got 3 years, $150 million change, fully guaranteed, and he's actually making north of $50 million. And then you got Deshaun Watson with his $238 million deal. It basically comes out to $46 million a year, fully guaranteed. If you're going to pay, first of all, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Aaron always gets his deal done about a year before Wilson does, and it's pretty much a game of, all right, who's got more? Well, you got this. Okay, I could beat that. So whatever Aaron does, you know that Russell's going to get that and then more. It's like the hand over, you know, one over the other. So Aaron's already making that money. So it's just a question of how much more is he going to make? What is he going to request? And Deshaun Watson, with all his legal troubles and all the stuff surrounding him, he got that money. He got, you know, $46 million for a guy who's got all kinds of, you know, unresolved legal issues, and hasn't even played in like the last couple of years. So Russ, yeah, you better bet he's going to get that money. Now, that said, I already expected that. I expected that as soon as the deal went down, because of course that was what everybody expected. Seattle was going to have to pay to keep Russell Wilson here, and of course by the time we got to that discussion, this whole scenario was pretty much done anyway. The relationship had already gone so far south. Negotiating that deal wasn't even on the table. All right, so the question now is, or I should say, what intrigues me about this and why I have multiple reasons to see Russell and the Broncos struggle next year. And they have the potential to struggle because Raiders are definitely improved. Got Devontae Adams, the receiver over there. You've got the Chiefs, which are always going to be good. And you got the Chargers, who are moving up, doing a lot of grades, and Herbert's already a good quarterback. So what's going to fascinate me is if the Broncos struggle next year, right? And struggle might mean they make the wild card and lose or one and done, right? Because right now the expectation, they've granted Wilson the key to the castle, and it's like they've laid the red carpet out. The whole, Broncos country is anointed them the king and queen of Broncos country and all that stuff. Let's ride, all that stuff. So the expectations are through the roof. Now, I don't know if anybody's expecting to win the Super Bowl this year over there. There might be some. But I think everyone's expecting at least a playoff appearance. So if they get to the playoffs, I'm sure everyone will feel like the minimum is, well, at least he got us to the playoffs. We haven't been able to do that. But I'll tell you, there'll be a lot of disappointed people if they make it to the playoffs and then lose, one and done. That's going to be disappointing for a great number of Broncos fans. And is that, what I'm fascinated to see is, one, the worse they do, the better it is for us. I've said many, many times, the reason you should be rooting against the Broncos this year is because we own their first round draft pick. So the worse they do, the better our draft location ends up. See, the Broncos could suck and improve our scenario without us even having to suck ourselves. So that kind of came out bad. But if we stink and the Broncos stink, well, that's win-win in a lot of ways for us, because then we're going to have 2 first-round draft picks all moving up the chart. So you have that in your back pocket. Okay, but back to the thing. So imagine if they go one and done in the playoffs, or worse, they don't even make the playoffs. Then knowing the negotiation time is here, how will you feel knowing that you're like the new owner for the Broncos, or all the fans are going to have to deal with contract and negotiation talk? Suddenly, you win the Super Bowl and bring it home in your first year. People will say, whatever you want, write as big a check as you want. We want you here. You're the greatest. We don't care. Sky's the limit. Heck, maybe you should be the first player to get a percentage of the salary cap instead of a fixed salary. Whatever happens there. But if they don't, imagine the disappointment, and then mix that in with, oh, by the way, you had a disappointing first year together, and it's time for him to get paid. How controversial, how much angst, how much suddenly trepidations are going to be when it comes to signing that $50+ million a year, basically making you slave to the contract. I mean, you're committing the next 5 years of your resources to one guy, and if you don't fully believe, like, maybe he wasn't the guy we thought he was going to be, imagine the hole you're creating for yourself if it turns out to not be what you expected. As a guy who's still bitter about the fact that this didn't work out, and I always thought that Russell Wilson would be our franchise quarterback until the day he retired. The sadistic part of me wants to see that angst. I want to see the media. I want to see the fans on all social media all debating and struggling with how much should we really pay Russell Wilson? Is he really worth it? So we'll see how it goes. But that's secretly, for me, that is why I'm dying to see the Broncos struggle next year, for those 2 reasons. So, because I want to see the chaos begin after the 2022 season is over and everybody in Denver is going, man, sheesh, this is the guy we signed up. This is the guy we got to commit $250 million to for the next 4 or 5 years. Oh boy. So, anyway, we'll see. Nothing personal, It's not like I hate the guy. It's not like I want the guy to something bad to happen to him. I just don't want him to win a Super Bowl. Is that so mean? I don't feel so bad. Me too, Norb says bye. Hey, so just to change topic here, just curious what, so I'm going to go and be around a bunch of 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and more arcade games, over 400 games to play. I'm sure I won't get to all 400 of them, not within a 4 or 5 hour period. What were your favorite games? What are your favorite arcade games? If you can go to this show, and they could have any game you want on display for you to play for free, what would be your jam? I'm actually wearing this shirt. This is kind of tradition. This is the shirt I wear. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see that? There it is. You can see that? Gorf. That was my jam. I'll never forget it. I remember discovering this game in Mexico back in 7th grade. My parents, we went on vacation, our family, they were in the casino. They gave me and my sister, who were too young to go to the casino, they gave us a bunch of quarters to go entertain ourselves while they gambled with the big bucks. And that was a lot. I could make $20 last a long time the way I played. But I discovered this game called Gorf. And I love this game. Gorf is basically, it's like it's a mixed game. It's a shooting game, Space Invader style. In fact, one of the rounds of Space Invaders, there's, I think, 6 different games in one. So it starts out with Space Invaders, and then there's a one called Space Zap, and it's kind of like Galaxians, except this is just these ships that are kind of trying to shoot you from above, and you're trying to shoot them from below. Laser Battle. I think it's called Laser Battle. I should know the names. And then there's Galaxians, and then there's Space Warp. Galaxians, you know Galaxians. And then there's Space Warp, and that's where you're trying to shoot these guys, and they start from the middle, and they go, and then they try to launch the fireballs at you. You have to survive all that. And then finally, there's the flagship. The flagship is the mothership. She starts at the top, going left to right. She's throwing balls at you. And you're trying to avoid the fireballs while trying to shoot at the mothership. And inside the heart of the mothership, there's this vulnerable spot. And if you hit it with your laser beam, the ship blows up, and then you start back over at a higher level. Back to the first level, but higher difficulty level. Anyway, that's Gorf. I'm sure I'll see it this week. And, or not this week, today. Today's the only day. I'm sure I'll see it at the game today, and I look forward to playing it and showing it to you. Somebody said they believe that Russ is going to come back to the Seahawks one day. Ooh, Patrick, Centipede and Gorf. Yeah, I've played those a lot. Chandler says, I think Russ will come back and retire as Seahawk. I would hope so, but if he does win a championship in Denver, God forbid he wins more than one, that may change, because he won his first one here, and it depends how many years he plays there. If he ends up playing there for 10 plus years, like he says he will, and like Brady style, and if he does win 2, you know, as much as his career was forged here in Seattle and everything he started was here in Seattle, you know, he could potentially have a more successful career, which I'm highly surprised if that happened that way. But he could have a more successful career half in Denver if he was able to achieve more than he accomplished while he was in Seattle. But I would think the odds are likely that he would come back and do it with Seattle. But who knows? Who knows? If the separation is that bitter, you just never know. And I still, I don't know. I still don't know how he truly looks at his time with Seattle. When I went to the sports banquet on Thursday last week, you know, we had a really nice, he did a live reaction to him and Sierra winning the Paul Allen Humanitarian Award. And, you know, he said some really nice things. I think you heard it on my video. If you didn't see it, you can look it up on my channel a few videos ago. But he's good at that. Russell's good at that PR game and making you feel like say all the perfect things. And it was working. That night he got me going. I was like, wait a second, wait. I know these tricks, why am I falling for it? But he also said, you know, even joked at the end, he said, yeah, you know, it'll always be, you know, I'll always say go Hawks. Except for me, that first game of the season. Of course, the crowd loved that. But yeah, where will he retire and go if he does go to the Hall of Fame? We shall find out. So much to be determined in the next few years. I'm very curious. I mean, we've been watching from a distance the progression of Russell Wilson's second half of his career, which starts now. So it's going to be interesting to watch. Keep putting on your video game references, and Patrick loved Gore because of the animations and the voice of the robots. Remember that part? Oh, how can you forget that part? Gore, insert point. Bad move, space, that I'm looking forward to. What other games I like to play? Let's see. So in the 2000s, there's games like Police Trainer, Lethal Enforcers, played that a lot. Let's see. Donkey Kong, Star Wars. I have a Star Wars cabinet game at home, so it's not quite going to be the draw to play that one like it would have been when I didn't have that game. Although the sit-down one, you know, the enclosed sit-down cabinet, that's always nice. The stand-up one's okay, it's cool, but the sit-down one, that's an extra special step. What else? There's a bunch more. I can't believe I'm not thinking of more games. I was never very good at Asteroids. So Asteroids not my game. But Pac-Man's always good fun for a fun jump in. There's a game called Kicks, Qix, where your goal is to you start on one side of a wall and try to get to the other side and block off real estate on the screen before this flying stick bounces around and hits you. So you have to basically kind of go edge to edge and not get killed. And so if you yeah, it does sound exciting, but it was nerve-wracking. Frogger, a little classic. Oh, Tempest. Tempest is a great game. Joust, Tron. All right, now they're trying to come back. Bump and Jump. It's a game I always like playing. Turbo. That racing game. That was fun. Pole Position. Wasn't very good at it, but I just enjoyed playing it. Defender. Another game I didn't do well in, but I enjoyed playing once in a while. The best thing about this is since you're not putting money into it, you don't have to worry about, you know, wasting quarters. And luckily, since I know Mike, he's got a free ticket with my name on it. So one of the perks of being friends of the president of the association. Almost there. It's rainy down here in Tacoma. Flip this around, you can see where I'm going. There's the rain. Here comes the rain again. So this is downtown, approaching downtown Tacoma. This is I-5 South. This is the Emerald Queen Casino on the left here. That's that big monstrosity of a building. That's the Emerald Queen Casino. Got a big sports book in there now. This freeway feels like it's constantly, never ending, under construction. There's always traffic here. To your right is essentially where we are going. That's where the convention center area is located there. That would be downtown Tacoma, just over the bluff there. Be safe, Norb. Thank you. And then the iconic Tacoma Dome coming up ahead. Last time we were here, I believe it was when we went to I think it was a Pentatonics concert. I do believe that was the last time we seen it. There you go. There's the Tacoma Dome. Now we're just a couple miles away and head over towards downtown Tacoma now. And I'll be heading in shortly. So, yeah. So, kind of in the wrap up of this little chat here. When I get into the place, I'll probably do a little live video, bring Mike you've got time to chat, bring Mike into onto the video. He can show us around a little bit, tell us how the show's been going, what are some of the highlights, some of the games that he has on display, and give you a little insight into the Northwest Pinball and Arcade Show going on here in Tacoma. Final day, going till 3 o'clock. So if you didn't make it out this week, next year they'll do it again. It's always a 3-day weekend in June, so at least this will be a preview for potentially next year. All right. Well, I'm gonna sign off now as I gotta look for a parking area, but I'll bring the show back once we get to once it becomes once I get inside the building. Alrighty. All right. We'll talk to y'all later. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. And see you in a few minutes. The Seahawks.